I want to give you my best advice for life, for being successful. I wrote some notes. I'm going to first go through with you my notes, my agenda, and then we'll go through and talk about them. You know, I'm 50 years old. I've made millions of dollars. I've done well in life. And to be honest with you, if I knew all of the advice that I'm going to give you now that I've learned through 50 years, I'd probably be doing exponentially better than I'm even doing now. Anyways, I want to share this all with you, and I hope it helps. Here's all of the points in my notes. Okay? Decentralization wins. 80-20 rule. Growth mindset. Only listen to experts. Value, freedom, time, karma, honesty. Exponential math. New platforms are hard. Emotional brain versus the thinking brain. Focus and depth. Plan for the unexpected. MVP, minimal viable product. Results out of the gate tell you a lot. And last, what is this? Math? I don't know what that means. Maybe I didn't finish my notes. Okay, so now I'm going to explain each of these. Those are my notes, and I'm just going to riff on each of them. I hope it's clear. I hope I don't drone on for too long. But if you like any of those, maybe you can skip ahead. Whatever. But here we go. First, this one piece of advice, decentralization wins, is I'm fortunate to have discovered this early in life. This philosophy that when there are two systems trying to do the same thing, the one that is more decentralized will grow faster and become larger than the one that is structured more centralized. This is a hard concept for many people to understand. I would recommend reading the book, The Starfish and the Spider, and trying to understand what decentralization is. The bottom line is the structure, the decision-making structure flat and spread out? Multiple points can decide versus a top-down structure with a clear, this person's in charge and then that person. My bias to decentralization is why when I saw the World Wide Web in 1994, I immediately was like, I need to get on that because of my attraction to decentralization. The reason I set up my business where people work from home, why I created an affiliate program, why I bought Bitcoin early, and so many other decisions were my confidence in the strength of decentralization. If you can understand it, it's just a filter. And it's not like it comes up every day, but sometimes there's decisions like, should I buy Bitcoin? Oh, decentralized money competing against centralized. That might do well, right? And it applies to more than you might immediately imagine, right? What's a better structure for your family where the man is in charge of every decision and then the woman and then the oldest child? Or where each person has their own voice, right? And it's a flatter decision-making structure within the family, which is better. I would go with the decentralized one. This has made a big difference in my life. Okay, next, the 80-20 rule. For those of you who don't know, look this up. They call it the Pareto Rule. I don't know exactly, but you could look it up, learn about it. But the basic idea is that 20% of the work or 20% of something creates 80% of the benefits. Look at any business that has several products. 20% of their products create 80% of the revenue. Any work you have to do, 20% of the work gets 80% of the value. Or you have a lot of things to do. You know, the last 20% is the hardest to get done. You know, it sort of works like this in everything in a strange and sometimes unexplainable way. But this is sort of the opposite of being a perfectionist, which, you know, as Jeff Bezos says, don't let perfection get in the way of success. Perfectionists get stuck in that perfecting that last 20%. Let that 20% go. Do the 80% or be happy with the 80%. What else how do I want to explain this? So for every project that comes up and things you want to get done, look for those few things that have the biggest bang for the buck and just do those. And on the other hand, when you're looking at your business or projects you're working on, accept the fact that it's not perfect, it's not all done, and there'll always be a percent. Maybe it's not even 20, maybe it's 10%, maybe it's 30, whatever. There's a percent that's just not worth it. Let it be. And we used to look at Amazon's website. You wouldn't notice, but when I'm running my e-commerce business, people would say, on our attributes, where we say where each product is from which manufacturer, we had problems with multiple manufacturer listings and they're spelled wrong and it's not perfect. But this is just such a fringe thing. Customers don't care. Look at Amazon's site and theirs is a mess too. They have problems, but they focus on the 80%. What do people care about on Amazon? The prices, the shipping, etc. They just focus on that. But the site itself actually is not perfect. Okay. Next is, now I'm going to talk about how, we all know, a lot of us know, you learn from others, learn from reading, but there's so much to be learned by learn from doing. And especially if you're running a business, whether if you're opening a restaurant or you're going to start selling masks with smiley faces or, whatever you're doing, there's probably not a book or a conference or maybe not even an expert on the specific thing you're working on. In order to learn, you need to be scientific about it. And this is another thing that I was fortunate to learn early, and this is what carried me. Because I talk a lot now about learning from experts. I didn't do that when I was younger, but I was still successful because I did learn by doing. And I would get into a niche and become such an expert in that niche because I learned from experience. And there's a basic process I have, and it's similar to the scientific method, but regarding yourself, and that you're sort of like a scientist. You have an idea, you write out your idea, you work on it, you analyze those results, and then you're honest about the results, you learn from it, you adjust, and you start over. The mistake that people make with this is that they don't take seriously enough about writing out their plans. This is, and I've seen this, and it's not easy. And I've seen this with people who are really successful. Look at Amazon. You can look at Jeff Bezos. How he in meetings, you're not allowed to use a PowerPoint. You have to write a 6-page, narrative essay on what your idea is and send that to everybody who's going to be in the meeting ahead of time so they've read it. I know this other guy who's made millions, and he talks about how whenever he starts a business, he writes a 20-page paper on what the business is. And that discipline is so important. And it's not just that you're being clear about what you're doing. You're clear about what you're doing. You're able to analyze it as it's happening. You're able to look at this experiment, and then when you're done, you have that record and you can go back to it and learn and then start over. The other place where people make a mistake, one is not writing it out enough. The other is not accepting what happened or not even doing the review. Just moving on. Accept, oh my God, I thought this was going to be great and it sucked. People don't want to admit it. No, I'm great and I never make mistakes. Forget about that. Be proud. I'm not proud of failing, but accept that that's a part of life. Let it be and learn from it. And I think they call this growth mindset is a common term. You can find a lot of books about that. I've made videos about my base, I call it, brainstorm, analyze, strategize, execute. You can watch one of my videos on that or read about growth mindset. But a lot of it is just that process of learn by doing. Next is the other way of learning. And this, boy, I didn't even learn this until later in life. And I would have been so much more successful if I had this other method of learning, which is this learn from experts. I was aware of this. I heard Tony Robbins talking about this 30 years ago, and I didn't disagree. Oh, find who's great at doing what you want to do and copy them. Oh, I get it. But what I missed is to take that more seriously, and now I'm like crazy about it. If someone hands me an article from the Wall Street Journal, I don't read it until I see who the author is, and I go on the internet and I look up the author. If the author's not an expert, I don't read it. I have with this coronavirus, my friends, family forwarding me articles. One of them, my family from Boston sent me an article about herd immunity and she's concerned. I look up the author. He writes about the Patriots all the time. And now he's writing about, I'm not going to listen to this guy. So in the part that I had missed was, it's not just to find experts and follow them. Listening to people who are not experts, not only is it not helping you, not only is it worse, it's bad for you. Avoid it. Facebook is a disaster as far as I'm concerned. I go on there and it's a time suck talking to morons. I've talked before about Twitter is the greatest, and be militant about only following closely vetted geniuses and only reading what they recommend and what they say. And avoid stupidity. And then same thing with books. Read great books. If there's a book, you can determine that the author, it's respected and it, has great reviews on Amazon with a lot of people. That's another good way. Learn from smart people. The next is value. I think people undervalue freedom, time, karma, and honesty. And maybe each of those should be their own point. But so first of all, I guess time. Here's a factor. And I see this a lot when it comes to buying a home or even selling a home, So I was selling my home recently, and it's like, well, so here's the equation you go through. I have a house, and now I could just put it on the market as is at a low price, or I could spend, let's say I spend $50,000 to fix it up and put it on at a price that's $75,000. So for 2 months of work, I spend $50,000, and I think I can make $75,000 on it. And people just look at those numbers like, oh, you spend 50, you get 75. What about 2 months of my life, not only working on this, but dealing with contractors, going to the house, and where's the shipment of the wood? It was supposed to come yesterday, and dealing with this crap. Or lawsuits. It's like, oh, well, they owe me this money, and I can get that money. Like talking to lawyers every day. It's painful. And in life, you can always make more money, but you can never get back time. What do you want to do with your time? Do you want to be fixing up a house? I mean, if you do, you love that, great. Then that's fine. I don't. You want to talk to lawyers? I don't think there's anybody who wants to talk to lawyers. So if it's not just how much you spend talking to the lawyers, it's how much that takes away from your life. Put a price on that. And to be honest, price it high. I price that stuff high, and that often people are surprised by some of my decisions because I'm like, I'm gonna pick something that's less money because I valued the time and I guess I called it freedom to do what I want as opposed to doing what I hate, which is, if it's talking to lawyers or fixing this or doing this work that I don't want to do. And being honest, this might be a separate one, but honesty is it's not just like, oh, it's nice and people like it. It's easier. It's lighter weight. You move through life. If you're just honest, someone asks you a question, you don't have to figure out your previous lies or what you think they want to hear or what you told them last time you thought, and it gets this web and you don't talk, and this is why people aren't free speaking. It's why it's easy for me to just get up and make a video. Because I just tell you what I think. And people are so shocked. They're like, oh, you just say what you think. I don't know. What else am I going to say? Because I'm so... And the problem is, too, through life, the baggage of being phony accumulates, and it gets difficult. And as Judge Judy says, if you want to be a liar, you better be pretty damn smart, right? I might not be that smart, but I'm honest, so I don't have to be smart. I just have to tell you what I think. It's easier. It's lightweight. And, when it comes to like relationships and getting along with people, it's like if you get somebody to be your friend or your partner, or someone you're dating, because you convince them you're somebody you're not, they're not really with you because they're with this person you think you are, and in the long run, eventually, people figure out who you are, and then you lose them. It's just a waste of fucking time. Be yourself. Deal with it. It's easier, and there's a lot of value with that. And karma is just, I think, is one of these. I don't like the word karma necessarily. I don't know what that means. People, I don't believe in some force in the universe that makes. I think it's just, if you do things the right way and you're good by people, it's more than just this one person who I could have screwed over and I chose to do it okay, and I could have got it. It's more than just individual acts of doing the right thing. It permeates your whole personality. It bounces back to you from other people and their expectations and the way things come. And it's just, again, another way to have life easy in a way. Like, I've had, I've been in business for, 25 years, my own business. I've had, a couple lawsuits, and they were stupid, had nothing to do with me, and they were dismissed quickly. Well, one was a little bit more of a pain in the ass, but we won, and their lawyer fees, okay? You know why I don't have lawsuits? Because I just karma. If I'm letting somebody go from my business, I sort of ask whoever I'm talking with about who we're going to let go. What is their expectation? They think that I would pay them 2 weeks pay? Okay, let's pay them 4 extra, right? Oh, they're expecting 4? Let's play 6. Like, I want people to be happy. I want people to understand, it's just karma. I don't know. I think it's valuable. Easy life is valuable. Exponential math. Exponential measurements. This is becoming more important. It wasn't even as important when it was always important, but now in the new economy, things are moving so quickly. So the first thing is just when you're studying math, and I'm like too old, not the greatest at math, and I don't know. I wish when I was younger I paid more attention to understanding how to measure exponential growth. So for one thing is just the math, so that when you look at two companies and one's growing at 20%, something's growing at 10% a month and something's growing at 30% a month, and understanding what that turns into in a year or in 2 years. I look at Kyber network, and cryptocurrency. It looks like it's growing 1,000% a year. Like, what does that mean? To almost be able to conceptualize it, because it's such a big number. It's such a crazy growth rate. And one of the biggest mistakes we make in investing is thinking, oh, this is 10% a month and that's 15% a month, and not realizing that 2 years from now, one is like so much bigger than the other. Like, to have that understanding in your head. And certainly the difference between linear and exponential, I think I understand that now in a simple sense, in a sort of, I know that it makes a big difference and it's a big deal, but understanding that math intuitively, important. Next one is new platforms are hard, and it sort of comes into this, watch out for fixing one problem to create a new problem. And this would come up a lot in my business, right? We have a problem. We're running our website on this system, and now we're not able to do this with our customers. Well, if we move to this new platform, then we can do that with our customers easily. And people tend to forget, well, when we move to a new platform, guess what? Now there's something else. Now there's something we can't do with our customers that we used to be able to do on the old platform. Moving to a new platform may solve one problem, but can usually it creates a new problem. No platform is perfect. And moving to a new system is very expensive and difficult in general. So not only are we, okay, so we're solving one problem, which sometimes isn't even that big of a deal. And we're making a giant project to solve one problem, and we end up creating a new problem. So now, I'm applying this to business right now in this example, but this applies to more than just business. But to finish this example, I created a rule in the company when anyone had a solution that was, oh, let's move to a new platform. I made them say, I understand that moving to a new platform is a giant project in and of itself. And I also understand that moving to a new platform may be the devil we don't know and will introduce new problems. Nevertheless, I think it's a good idea for these reasons. That was a rule. You had to read that sentence, okay? But this is true. What is an example outside of business where that applies? I can't think of one. I don't know. If you have this, it's a bigger topic than just computer platforms, right? I mean, it could be your house that you live in. I wish we had a yard. So now you move to a house with a yard. It's a bigger house. Well, now you got a problem in that. Not a problem per se, but, well, now it's a bigger house, so now it's harder to clean, and you live a little further away from the center of the city, and, now you have other things you don't have. Plus, you had to go and sell one house, buy another house. Maybe it was more expensive, maybe not. I don't know, just the expense of moving, and you spent a number of months in your life moving, right? And you've got this yard. Okay, great, now you have a yard, but was it worth all of that? Maybe it was, but just make sure you calculate the costs of the move. Next one is the emotional brain versus your cognitive thinking brain. This is extremely important. There's a book called Thinking Fast and Thinking Slow, I think it's called. And there's a lot of books on it. But in general, you need your emotional brain. I'm going to talk about the emotional brain as being the stupid brain. I'm not saying we got to get rid of it and it has to be involved, but let me just say that first of all, the brain has sort of two parts to it. The older, we've evolved through animals. The emotional brain is sort of a immediate response system. It's just like, oh, something bad, just run. Oh, something good, happy, go toward it. Whatever it, there's all these sort of immediate, without thinking response system, which was very important for basic animals and is even important for us. For motivation, even if you have a grand plan that only a human could imagine and come up with, if you don't have any emotion attached to that plan, you don't really care, it's not going to happen. So emotion is important. But in general, your emotional brain is stupid. When you think, when you're emotional, you're by definition, by the way the brain works, if you make decisions while you're feeling emotional about a situation, you are going to make a worse decision than if you're not. It's just how the brain works. Be aware of that. I know it's hard, right? When you're feeling emotional and it's something you really want to do and you're like, it feels so right. Just realize you're being stupid, but almost by definition. And then, so humans evolved, right? With this, we created this, the neocortex. And you can read about what functions the neocortex does. These functions are only available in humans. They are what allowed us to take over the world. Use that part of your brain. This is the planning, the thinking in the head, writing out. Remember I said in that earlier advice, writing out pages of your idea. That's only humans. That's why Bezos has built what he's built, and no monkey has built anything close to it, right? It's this, use your cognitive brain to think. Now, if you can come up with a plan and it taps into that emotional brain, you're excited, you're like, ooh, not only is this really smart and I've thought about it when I'm calm, ooh, I get excited. that makes you stronger. And just be very aware. And I don't want, listen, I have 2 daughters who I love, and they are great, and I love women and have great respect. And I'm not a woman, and I don't know, but there's a lot of talk about how women are more emotional than men. Okay, if that's true, fine. And I'm not saying it's bad, but believe me, something happens. Someone says something to me or whatever. I get emotional too, right? Yeah. You know, we have emotions, and I get them, and it's like, oh, but I respect, and I think we all should respect the fact that we're kind of stupid when we're emotional. And so, I don't want to get in too much trouble for saying this, but I hear this a lot with women. It's like, well, women are so emotional, and so therefore, just who cares if they do stuff, make bad decisions when they're emotional. It's fine. Like, I get it. It's human nature. I'm not saying someone's a bad person, but I don't think you can ever say that it's sort of good, that it's good or it's okay. Like, you need to understand, like, oops, I made a decision or I acted when I was emotional, and it's not the way to be. I don't know why I'm bringing up this man versus woman thing, but, whatever. Okay. Another part of the cognitive brain is our ability to focus. And you could maybe tie this to consciousness. It's another feature that I think humans have that nobody else has. Take advantage of it. And, focus ties into also your ability to go deep. There is great value, and I don't know if this value is great just because nobody does it, and most people are very surface. People love to have a surface explanation on everything rather than picking one thing and going super deep. Both have some value, and we all do both, but I feel like my big advantage has been where I go deep. When it comes to like a cryptocurrency, in studying in crypto, I see a lot of people, it's like they read 2 articles and they're like, oh, I think it's good. Like, download, use it, read more about it, investigate the founders and their lives, like dig deep, and then you know more. And part of that is focus, staying pinned on one thing or one idea, one thing you're investigating for a long time and really digging in. And sometimes you feel like when you hear about something, it's like, oh, this thing is awesome. I know it's awesome. I don't even need to dig in more because I know. You don't, And then, another saying I had a lot in my company was, what do you call it? The best idea is the idea you haven't researched, because it just seems great because you haven't researched it. If it seems really easy or definitely great, or there's not 2 sides to the story, or there's no risks, it's just because you haven't studied it. You haven't dug deep enough. And focus in and dig. Next, plan for the unexpected. And, there's sort of a sense of, well, how can you plan if you don't know what's going to happen? It's the idea that unexpected bad shit always happens. Now, this applies, for example, right now, we're seeing in the world, oh, this is why I shouldn't live paycheck to paycheck in case there's a pandemic. Oh, well, I didn't know there was going to be a pandemic, so I wasn't saving any money. Well, just realize that shit happens, right? Same thing in business. Oh, we're going to launch this website. We've done a plan. We've researched the hell out of it. It's halfway built. It looks perfect. We're going to launch on this date. I would always say, great, we think we're going to launch on this date, then let's set the date to be a week later. And the week after it launches, you know what we're doing? We're fixing all the shit that's broken. Well, how do you know anything's going to be broken? Because something's always broken. And worst case scenario, well, we got nothing to do that week. Great, what are we going to do now? I'd love that problem, right? Plan for the unexpected. Plan that there will be problems. And even for being, scheduled, being on time. God, I can't stand people who aren't on time. Drives me crazy. And I sort of have a problem that I'm always early, but not always, but usually because anything. Like, so I'm meeting someone at a restaurant. So I look, it takes 25 minutes to get there. Okay. So I will leave when it'll take me 35 minutes to get there. Why? I don't know. Like, maybe something goes wrong. I don't want to be late. I just always, and you think about it, it's just 10 minutes. So I'm always like 10 minutes late. But then fine, I'll read in my car for 5 minutes. I don't know. I'll go to the bathroom when I get there. I'd rather be early. And then if something, oh my God, there's an accident on the street and, I'm delayed 10 minutes. Okay. Well, now I'm on time. And I don't have to stress. Plan for the unexpected. Okay? And be early. Minimal viable product. We used to have a saying too in my company. Always be launching. This means just get stuff out there. Part of, the first thing, one of the first pieces of advice I had was to, your life is like a scientific experiment, right? You have an idea, you put it out there, and you see the results. So focus on getting stuff out there. If you take too long to launch an idea, or I like to say, if you have a big idea and it's going to take so long to launch it, can you break that down into parts and launch a little part first and see what the response is, right? You got a product. Why don't you put a page up that shows the product and it says, if you want it, add to cart, and then it goes to a page that says, oh, we're not ready yet, but if you want to be on our mailing list. See how many people click on the add to cart. See if you get anyone joining your mail list. Test a few ads. So you're not launching the product for 2 months, but you're already getting feedback. And you're also seeing, oh, nobody out there gives a shit about this product. And so maybe you should take a minute and make some changes before doing that 2 months from now. So you want to get out there so you can start getting data and adjusting. And even if it's still, that's sort of testing before you launch. But on the other hand, you may have just, I remember, here's the thing I've heard a lot of people would like, they love yoga. And it's like, I want to open a yoga studio with a spa, and a masseuse. I want to do all these giant things. Oh, really? Well, how about you just first start doing some yoga classes, get some followers. Then you could rent out space at a place and so maybe you got one day that's your day. And then you got a bigger following. And then maybe you open a basic yoga studio. And that goes well. And then now you've got experience and stuff and people want to invest with you. And then you open up the beautiful big one. Minimal viable product. Just launch. Get the stuff out there. And Mark Zuckerberg had a great quote. It was when he spoke at a Harvard graduation. Great ideas are not... great ideas are formed. You don't just come out with a great idea. You have an idea, and you iterate, and you learn, and you test, and you get feedback from your customers, and the idea becomes amazing. When Zuckerberg started Facebook, he didn't say, oh, we're going to have a news feed that people love. He didn't even have many pictures allowed in Facebook. He actually went up to Tom, who I knew from my Hollywood days, went up to him and was like, how come your site is so cool, MySpace, and ours is not? And Tom said, photos. You're not doing photos. Tom was like, shit, 2 days later, there's fucking photos on Facebook. It's like, maybe I shouldn't have said anything. Anyways, so the great idea, and it's not just that you're personally experimenting and trying, it's that you can't know the result. The world and the universe and so many things happening is too big for you to know how something is going to be received when it's out in the wild. So put something out, you get that feedback, and then you're able to take it to the next level. It doesn't matter how smart you are or how great your team is, you can't predict responses to your product until you get them out there. And One thing I've noticed that I found strange, and I don't hear that many people say it, it's the results right out of the gate are hugely telling. In other words, if you launch a business, or I watch with the cryptocurrencies, I'm watching Ren, right? They're launching their system soon. The way it goes in the first 2 months is sometimes very telling for like how it's going to do for the next 5 years, and not on a big picture level. So you launch something and nobody's using it. I'm sorry, they can iterate, they can make it better, and some people, but that's it. It's probably not great. They launch it and some people are using it. Okay, so it works, and they're going to iterate, and they're going to work on it. Maybe it does better and gets more people. Or option 3, that you launch and it's just like oversubscribed, it gets shut down. Facebook, when Zuckerberg launched his little thing at Harvard, the next day they took down all of Harvard's servers, right? Good sign. When I launched my affiliate program, which became the biggest part of my business for 20 years, made me probably most of my money, people were signing up and calling me about it before I even launched. And I launched it and immediately had affiliates, immediately had sales coming in. So that's a winner, right? So pay attention to the right out of the gate. And that's why, and I love that for crypto investing, lots of new things are launching all the time. Let them launch. And literally, you don't have to wait that long. Within 3 months, you'll see. And, a lot of things either do nothing, and then I'd wait on it. Or it's okay, and then maybe you don't want to invest and you keep watching until they're going to do version 2. Like Augur is an example. They launched and nothing was happening. I was like, okay, so I guess that idea is not as great as everyone said. Now they're launching version 2, which was supposed to be last quarter. Now it's supposedly this quarter, and maybe it's in June. But if the new Augur prediction platform is great, they're going to launch it, and within weeks, there's going to be like an order of magnitude more bets happening on the platform. And if not, I don't know, maybe the thing still sucks. So pay attention to that. Okay, that's my best advice for you. I know I have a lot of younger people, entrepreneurial types watching me. I think this is my best advice to you. Take it, and good luck. And let me know any questions, comments, or any part that wasn't clear. Also, if you think there's a piece of advice that I should have given that I forgot, maybe I have, right? I just accumulated these over a few days, so we'll see. Maybe I forgot something. Let me know your thoughts. Thank you for watching.